Yes, people, and welcome back to another video on the Bridge YouTube channel where we bring you all things Chelsea. I'm your host, with the most, the Bridge 258, and I'm here to do a special video, as you can see. And today we're going to be ranking the squads out of the first four games so far. How have they been doing? We've literally got a nice little scale here where A, obviously they're doing amazing, pretty much, like great. B, it's very good. C is they've been having mixed results, but they seem to be on some sort of good trajectory. D is they've not been doing really well, but there may be some hope, hopefully, for them. And F is just literally F. You know what I mean? They're cooked. It's over. Class. Like that's all I can say for them. So you know what, man? Let's get started. Obviously, this is of the Premier League teams from the 2023-2024 season, which is the season, of course. I don't know why I just said that, but here we move. So let's start, obviously, with the first one, and that will be, for me, Arsenal. So Arsenal Football Club, I'll probably put them in a B. Obviously, there's been quite a few experimentations that artists have been doing. But I think for me, in the final game against Manchester United in particular, seems that he decided to stop ditching being, the little chemist that he's trying to act like, and now he's trying to focus on trying to win games with the old style, essentially. Obviously, he did pretty well. Yeah, they may have drew against Fulham, but barring that, I'm pretty sure they've won their last three games. They obviously, if I'm not mistaken, won against Manchester United. They won their opening day fixture too. So, there's something that's clearly going right for the team. And that's why, for me, I would put Arsenal right now in the B area, in my opinion. Next team is Aston Villa. And, when it comes down to Aston Villa, it's a bit of a sticky one still, I'll be honest, guys, because, just having a little look now at some of the results. Obviously, first game of the season, they got cooked by Newcastle, if I'm being honest. If I'm not mistaken, 5-1-2, which was not great either. And but other than that, they obviously had a nice little comeback game against Everton where they won 4-0. They also, qualified for the Europa Conference League playoff against Hibernian as well. They beat Burnley 3-1. Obviously, they lost to Liverpool, if I'm not mistaken, 3-0. Yep, and pretty much, it's been again a bit of bag of mixed results. But then again, they've also lost. They've also had a few players that are out injury. Ben Diaz one. If I'm not mistaken, there's another guy that I'm forgetting too that's also injured for Aston Villa, if I'm not mistaken as well. So it's a bit of a sticky area for them, particularly in the midfield area. So I want to give them like a bit of the BOD. Oh yeah, Tyron Wings also is out, and they're having to use my guy Pau Torres. Mr. Nice little passes. This is not a league, my friend, Pau Torres. So hopefully he needs to be doing a lot better there if they want to be a lot more successful, in my opinion. So that's why for me, I'm going to be putting Aston Villa in. I think I'm going to give them the C tier. They've won 2, they've lost 2, so I think that's fair enough. Now let's go on to Burnley. For me, Burnley, in my opinion, worrying times. For me, it's F so far. If I'm not mistaken, they've lost their last 4 games, if I'm not mistaken, against opposition. Even though I do still have them to, go to still stay in the league, I think for them, yeah, it's quite worrying. Obviously, let me just show you some of the results. Right, obviously opening they lost 3-0 to Man City. Then they lost to Aston Villa 3-1. Then they actually, I forgot they won against Nottingham Forest. Yep, they won against obviously Nottingham Forest, but then again they lost again to Tottenham. I think 5-1, if I'm not 5-2. Sorry, 5-2. Yep, 5-2 if I'm not mistaken too. So again for them, 3 wins, 1 losses. Maybe been a bit harsh, but they're an F. I think D maybe, because obviously they got that key win. But they've also gone through quite a hard fixture. Barring Forest, Villa's quite another tough composition now, particularly because they're very much for me an upper mid-table team now, looking for those European spots. Tottenham's another big team to be facing. Man City. So again, being able to be a possible relegation rival, Nottingham Forest, is a good thing for Burnley, of course. But we'll see what happens. But right now, I've got them as a D. But there's big issues there, man. They need to start winning games, in my opinion, or trying to draw games against these big clubs that are coming up. Bournemouth is the next one, and I'm going to be straight up honest with Bournemouth. I think they're very much a D right now. I'll be honest with you, and there's a couple of reasons for that. Obviously, they lost to Liverpool, if I'm not mistaken, in their third game. But if you look at the team, they're missing obviously Tyler Adams and Alex Scott, and they need him a lot. They're lacking a lot of creativity from the games that I've watched. I was very interested to see how that would work. Obviously, they brought in Sinistra now too, but a lot of creativity has been missing. I like the guy that's on the right hand side. The one of the dreadlocks is doing really well. I like him too. Obviously, Solanke, he's another one where he's. Does he move me? To be honest, no. But can he do a job for Bournemouth? Of course, I do think he can get them at least minimum 10 goals. That's for sure. Looking at some of the results again, they actually drew against Brentford, which was a very good draw, I have to say, man. Honestly, they lost against Tottenham 2-0. They lost against Liverpool 3-1, and then they drew against West Ham. But for me, in general, though, they are missing creativity, and if they're not careful, they're gonna be in a lot of big trouble. So for me, in my opinion, when it comes down to my boys here, Bournemouth, I'm gonna give them a C, because obviously they lost against, really, if you're thinking about it, Liverpool and Tottenham. They've drawn against Brentford, they've drawn, and they've also drawn against West Ham. So it kind of like angers it up, in my opinion. Next one is Brentford, and I want to give Brentford a B, honestly. I think Brentford have been coping quite well without their boy, Ivan Toney up there, and Burma's been doing a great job. He's been playing brilliantly. My boy Wissa's another one that's been doing brilliantly too. Shout out to him. Looking at, again, their results, right? They obviously drew against Bournemouth 2-2 in their last game, drew with Crystal Palace 1-1. They beat Fulham 3-0, and then they drew against Tottenham. But they've been having a couple of great results there. Again, they've gone through a bit of hard competition there with Tottenham, but to be honest, man, I like what they're doing. Hopefully they can get their defense a bit more stronger, but I feel like they're in the right trajectory right now, similarly to Arsenal, where they're just going straight. And I honestly, man, and Mbeumo, this could be a very big season for Mbeumo, man, and Wissa, and I can see that happening for them 110%. Next one we're going to be talking about is Brighton and Hove Albion, I should say. And with them, I'm going to give you the results first. Obviously, they beat Newcastle 3-1. Ivan Ferguson hat-trick there. They then lost to West Ham 3-1, even though they were looking very good. They were on the attack and everything. They were playing that style of football they usually play, which is kind of amazing. They smashed Wolves 4-1, of course, and then they smashed Luton Town in the first game of the season 4-1. For me, definitely for them is another B tier for them. Obviously, that was a big loss against West Ham, even though they were playing their style of play. It just didn't work out. With Turner cooking, Ivan Ferguson looks great. Solly March, Gross. You know what Brighton are like. I don't need to say anything about Brighton here, which has not been said before about them. Honestly, for me, they're a great team, a top team. So, and I look forward to seeing what they're able to bring coming forward. So that's pretty much it for me when it comes down to it too. So I think for me, Brighton again, B. Chelsea Football Club. Oh, it's a difficult one, I say, lads, what I mean? If I'm honestly, for me, me, as the Chelsea guy here, the guy that talks about Chelsea a lot, I'm going to keep it 100% Buccaroonies. Chelsea, obviously, we've had 2 losses, 1 draw and 1 win. Obviously, our 1-1 came from Luton Town 3-0. Our draw, of course, came against Liverpool, first game of the season, 1-1. Then losing to West Ham 3-1. And then losing to Nottingham Forest in our final game of the season, 1-0. Although we did win against AFC Wimbledon 2-1. But for me, Chelsea right now, if I'm being honest, we are in the D tier. And I'll explain to you why I would say D tier right now. No, actually, I'll say C tier, sorry. I think C actually, but C because, right, yeah, Chelsea, I think for me, if you're being honest and objective, right, I feel like, yeah, a lot, the midfield, again, is known, defense is unknown. In terms of performances, that they've been playing good. The issue right now, obviously, is, again, the style, the person that we're playing in these positions. As long as Pochettino changes those positions, for me, Chelsea can go on to do a lot of good things. This is, again, only 4 games in. I'm pretty sure they can improve on that going forward. That's why, for me, when it comes down to Chelsea, and as a Chelsea fan here, I would definitely say C for Chelsea Football Club. So let's move on now from Chelsea to Manchester City. And I don't know why City is before Everton. That doesn't even make sense. But Man City, obviously, won their first 4 games, looking great, looking strong. Like, there's nothing else for me to talk about when it comes to Manchester City. These guys are cooking without, KDB. Haaland still bringing in the goals in. Haaland still doing what he needs to do. You got Foden that's looking great. Alvarez is scoring goals. Rodri looking like probably the best CDM. Literally right now, there's no doubt about that. Man, he's defending and he's even scoring goals. Crazy, man. Big up to Rodri, man. Honestly, at the end of the day, but Yeah, City still like, they're in cruise control and like they're doing something that they've not done previously, where they're winning games straight away. Like they're not even starting off slow. So big up to City, honestly. Everton, for me, F. And honestly, it's worrying Everton because if I'm not mistaken, they've lost their last, was it called, 3 games and only won one. And they're in a similar situation to Burnley. But the reason why I think with Burnley, I have trust that company can do something. I love my boy Strong Daicinho, but Daicinho can only do so much with this team, honestly. And like they're not even helping the brother out. That's what makes it worse for me. But you look at their results, obviously, lost 1-0 to Fulham opening day, lost 4-0 to Aston Villa, then they lost 1-0 to Wolves with a last minute thing, and then Sheffield actually for me drew with them as well. If you remember, that was at the early kickoff, 12:30 on BT Sport. But again, with Everton, it's very worrying the situation there. Yeah, they may have brought in Beto for the striker position, but they can't even score goals. Like they rely on the Corey to smash it in, yeah, and be like the goal scoring midfielder that they need. Obviously, then Juma is there too, but it's still not enough for me. It's not enough for me for them to stay in the football league, in my opinion. Now let's move on to Nottingham Forest. For me, Nottingham Forest, man, they've been looking quite good, man. Obviously they lost Brennan Johnson to what's it called, Tottenham. However, they brought in great players. Sangare, top player. Cho, the 1v1 demon of Nottingham Forest. That's what I'm gonna call him from now on. They've got him in there too. Santos from Chelsea. They've got, which is a quality player too. They've obviously got already Taya Oni. Morgan Gibbs White, Elanga. So they've got great players. If I think for me, they're gonna probably stay up. I think in terms of performances, if I'm being honest, yeah. You look at their performances, they beat obviously Chelsea Football Club. Yeah, they lost 3-2 to Manchester United, but listen, man, bro, and that they beat Sheffield United. They lost against the Arsenal 2-1, but that was again a close game. I honestly think for me they're a C. Similar to Chelsea, I think they're very much a C team right now. But you know, I think they're gonna stay up again and they're gonna do well. Let's now talk about Fulham Football Club. Sorry if you see me going down, I'm just making sure to look at the results. So with Fulham, for me, I think they're another C team in my opinion. I think Fulham, in terms of results, have been doing a great job. They obviously beat, of course, if I'm not mistaken, Tottenham in the Carabao Cup third round on penalty. So big ups to them. Obviously they lost 5-1 against Man City, but they were quite competitive for a good amount of that time in the game. They drew with Arsenal 2-2. They lost against Brentford 3-0, but then they beat one against Fulham. You know, for me, I think the thing with Fulham and the question you got to ask is where the goals are going to come from. Because, you know, again, they've obviously got my guy from Wolves, whose name literally escapes my mind, their striker there, who's not been scoring that many goals for Wolves, literally post the head injury. So it's a bit worrying there. But obviously they got Deco David Reed that's been putting in the goals. They still got Paulinho staying, luckily, for maybe another 6 months. He probably might be in the move in January. But again, he's another top player that I think will help them at least stay up for the time being until January. I think he can do a job there. So for me, when it comes down to, I think Fulham again, another C team. In regards to Liverpool, I think they've been doing quite good. I think Liverpool right now, B team in my opinion, drew against Chelsea on the opening day. Obviously, they had that amazing comeback win against Newcastle. Had that amazing game against Aston Villa too, where they literally just cooked those man. Quite literally, there's no other way to put it up like that. They obviously beat Bournemouth too. I think the attack is amazingly good going forward. So again, I don't think I have that much of a worry when it comes down to them. So I think they're going to do pretty well. I think for me, I already have them predicted going into the top 4 anyway. So I think Liverpool, great result. Luton Town, I don't think you need to speak about Luton Town at all. We know where they're going to go. Honestly, for me, very worrying time for these man. It's not even like it looks like they even have a chance. Like the team doesn't look like it's a Premier League ready for me, in my opinion too. So it's not looking good, bruv, for these man. I'll be real, it's not looking good. Newcastle, I'm going to put in the D tier actually, I think, because, and I'll say my reason why for Newcastle. Part of the thing for me when it comes down to Newcastle is that obviously they had that amazing win against Aston Villa, but then they had that bad loss against Liverpool 2-1, who had 10 men. They then obviously lost to Brighton 3-1 in the last game of the season too. Newcastle for me, they're looking like a mixed bag right now, and like, you know, obviously they now obviously got Champions League football, PSG, Borussia Dortmund and AC Milan. AC Milan in particular, bro, I can't lie to you. AC Milan right now, they're cooking. They are actually cooking. I'm gonna actually give you the other game result that I'm missing when it comes down to Newcastle really quickly, guys. My apologies about that. And which one is it? Yeah, Man City, they also lost to Man City, obviously 1-0. But yeah, it's looking worrying, man. I don't know, man. It's not working right now with them and the manager. So hopefully, Newcastle can sort that out, pretty much. Moving along to Crystal Palace. Shout out Crystal Palace, Always have a soft spot for Crystal Palace, my fellow South London team. But honestly, for them, they've not actually not been doing too bad, to be honest. Yeah, mm, they beat Wolves 3-2. Big up to Eze for that game. They obviously lost to Arsenal 1-0. Sheffield United they beat. And yeah, man, I think honestly with them, Brentford they drew 1-1 too. So I think for me, Palace they've not been doing too bad. I think again, from the results and everything they've been doing, B tier. I think for me, they've been doing all right. They've been doing quite good for what we expected them to do. So shout out to Crystal Palace. Sheffield United. It's tough for me. I need to look at the results again because like I feel like they should probably be a C or D team as well. But one team that isn't definitely Tottenham Hotspur. For me, they are cooking right now. Honestly, they look amazing right now. Been playing good, been playing well. Obviously, they beat Burnley 5-2 recently. Won against United 2-0, if I'm not mistaken. Too, they've been playing Ange Ball, beat Bournemouth as well 2-0, if I'm not mistaken. Honestly, man, they are looking quality. The only game they usually was against Brentford 2-2, which is the first game of the season. But barring that, man, they have been going from strength to strength. Honestly, West Ham B for me. They're looking like a good team, a great team that's going to be out there for blood. And I think honestly, the additions they made, Edson Alvarez, Kudus, Ward-Prowse, quality additions, man. Quality additions when it comes down to West Ham. And Man United for me, D tier for me. They don't look great at all. I don't think the additions are going to be helping them now. Barring Hoyland, I don't really, and Amrabat maybe, but they're not looking like the team that they used to be. So there's obviously a cloud on the club as well. Some of the stuff that's going on behind the scenes with some of their players and as well. So like the environment is not a fertile environment to be continuing the project that maybe Ten Hag wants to do too. So I'm not really sure with United. I feel like for me, in regards to even their performances have not been great either. So for me, United definitely D. It's not looking good for them, man. It's looking downhill for them too. Wolves. Wolves is difficult, man, because now this is what I was saying. I need to look at Wolves' results again because to re-jog my memory. But I didn't think Wolves were going to go down because I think the quality of opposition that they were facing was kind of tough. Obviously, they lost 3-2 to Crystal Palace. They then lost. They beat Everton 1-0. They lost to Brighton 4-1, and then they lost to Manchester United. But I think for me, again, D. But I think they have the potential, again, similar to Burnley, to stay up because the quality they have and the opposition teams have not been doing great either. And finally, Sheffield United, man, honestly, that was a heartbreaking loss, obviously, against Man City before they obviously played Everton the week before. It wasn't easy, that's for sure. They obviously Nottingham Forest has beaten them. They've lost all of the last 4 games, but they've been showing some level of heart in it. That's the thing for them. For me, they've been showing some level of heart, something where I can think or believe that going in down in the future, I can see something happening. But then again, 4 results on a trot to be taken out is not good. That's the bottom thing, quite literally, if I'm not mistaken, too. So, very tough right now for them. It's very tough for them, in my opinion. But again, they did draw against Everton, so maybe there's a little bit of hope for them there, but not really for me. But that's, again, guys, that is the video for me of the rankings. Please make sure to like, share, subscribe as always. I've been your host, the Briz258, and as always, dedicate your hearts, and as always, make sure to stay blue.